All right, Ryan Tringer for your Class A Pro. I'm recording, and one of my students actually just thought it'd be fun to hear me doing a swing analysis of some of the top players. So I thought, why not Dustin Johnson, since he's been playing so well in the LIV golf tournament. So if Dustin was one of my students, this is what I would do. All right, so foot position looks good. Front foot's more open than back foot. He's got the ball here basically on the left heel. You can see that. He's got, let's see, the right hand V is going to his inner right shoulder. He's got a weaker left hand, as we know. He puts his left hand V here, so typically I like to see it closer to the ear, the inner, in between the inner right shoulder and the ear. But this can work. Sometimes I weaken my grip when I'm trying to play a fade, and he tends to play a fade. So then if we take a look here at his arms, he's got his arms in a nice triangular shape. Okay, his stance width, let's see, he's got, pretty wide stance here, of course, because he's got a driver in his hand. And let's see here on the right, nice athletic position, head's in line with spine, nice and flat, lower back. If you're having back pain, you want to check that your pelvis is neutral like this. Sometimes people have too much of an anterior tilt of their hips at the setup, and that can cause pain in your back. Then over here, we've got good knee flex. He's got his balance on his front of his arches. Right, his arms are hanging down from his shoulders pretty well here. All right, now from here, let's draw some lines and check and see how he does at keeping his position, if you will. So let's go. We're also going to circle his head. See how much head movement he has. Now you got to remember, some of these guys out there on tour are like cats, where if you flip a cat over and drop it, it lands on its feet, where if you do that with a dog, not so much. So some of the things that he does isn't going to be exactly perfectly fundamental, but he's such a great athlete and good player, as we know, so that's why he's able to get away with some things that the average golfer might not. All right, here we go. So with that said here, so as he goes back here, his left hip, he kind of, at the start of his swing here, he kind of leans a little bit off the ball. And on the right, if you look here, so he's on the left here, right? If we look, his hip there, and then if you watch where his head goes, his head, you're going to see in a moment, his hip goes off that line in this direction. And then over here on the right-hand screen, as he goes back, look, his head, he's actually, we put a line right here in the front of his face. Okay, and we'll put one on the side of his head here too. You're going to see on the right there, see how he almost lifts his head up a little bit here in the takeaway. So he's kind of leaning off the ball a little bit, lifting it up a little bit. I'd have him keep his nose on that line better and his hip on that line better there. Okay, now let's see as he keeps going back. Let's see where he goes here. I'm going to trace the club head. He takes a little bit outside here, or maybe the camera angle actually looks like the camera is, on this angle. So this could be a little bit of a behind video on the right, so it looks a little bit like it's outside, but it does look like that when he swings, so I'm fine with that. He's got the face angle here very square at this point to his spine angle, and you're going to see here as he keeps going, let's see where his club goes. So he brings it up pretty much straight back and up. That's straight along your toe line. Okay, gets up to the top here, and he's got his wrist very flat, right, to bowed. He even bows his hand. That's a supinated wrist position when the wrist is this way. You should Google this. This is something that would be good to Google and read about. A lot of golfers don't know what this is, but Hogan was talking about this a lot. This is the supinated left wrist we're looking for here at impact. So he does it early in his swing here. He gets that wrist supinated early, which I find that harder to do. I like to do it on my downswing, but it works for him. Now here at the top, though, even though his head kind of initially, look, his head initially went back. Okay, so once again, here we put this orange line on his face. Look, his head goes back a little, but then watch this at the top. He actually is kind of falling a little forward here on this swing, where his head is fallen in this direction now. Okay, on the right, he's just a little bit off that hip line, and look at this. His head is moved way over here to the right side. okay, more than we'd want. So if I was working with him, I'd get him to keep his head in place better and not leaning off the ball like this on the right-hand side. Once again, this works for Dustin because he's pretty athletic and impressive. He's made this work for him. Then why he's so good, he's got the club face very stable with that wrist position. It's kind of locked in the supine position. And then look at this. He brings the club back down here from the inside, right? And what he's doing here to make his downswing is he's bringing his right elbow in, right? Because remember, on the right-hand view here, if I trace the club head, watch this, kind of hinges a little early here. I'd want him to make a little bit of a lower and slower takeaway, right? But look, he's going to go back here like this, pretty wide, pretty straight back, right? Trying to create some width in the swing, as we call it, right? And then when he comes down in a moment here, you're going to see that he's going to bring his right elbow is going to come in or under, we call it, dropping the elbow in the slot, you could call it. And then that makes the club head come in side of that line or come around later, right? Because if this elbow here is driving its way in front there of his belly button toward his left hip, then the club head's going to come around last. So that's why it's so important that he's got his hand in that supinated position, because then look at that elbow. You can really see how much he's getting that elbow. Not to the side of his body. Everyone puts it on the side. He's trying to get it in front of his belly button, okay, in front of the right hip. So then you're going to see here the club comes down, right? He catches the ball here right at the bottom of the swing arc. Nice straight left arm, okay? Look, his head's falling back from where it started, right, on that side. And then let's take a look on the right side again here on the way down. So as he comes back down here, let's see, there's his club head. He swings from the inside out here, right? His left wrist is, again, right here. You can really see at this moment, this left hand is turned under in this direction, okay? We call that, it's like unscrewing a screwdriver with your left hand. A supinated left wrist is what it's called. So then as he continues down here to impact, look, his left hip is cleared out of the way, right? So that's why I'm always telling students, drop your elbow, supinate your left wrist, and clear your left hip back in that direction, okay? Like as if there was a bag next to you. It feels like your left hip clears back. So that's why we see the two cheek look here on the right as everyone talks about the hips clearing, right? And then you can see how he's trying to keep the face here going down the line, right? Just like how a hockey stick works, where the face of the club, he's trying to keep it at the target, okay? Coming through here on this shot. And so you can see that as he extends down the line, his hip goes back. Nice extension here. The left arm is straight through to shoulder high. Then after shoulder high, after this point here, where, and look on the right actually, look, his head has fallen this way, right? So I would want him to work on his balance being a little bit more back left. But this can work, you know, if you're staying down and through the shot, it's always better than coming up early, right? So he's fallen that way a little bit in the shot. But again, he's swinging pretty strong. So the force of the golf club, what happens is the force of the club actually, you know, because the club is coming down, right? And it's going down this way toward the ball. The force of that golf club is pulling him in this direction. So it pulls all of us that way. So that's why most students, telling them work the balance to that back left heel, right? Then as he comes through, nice extension, right? And then at this point, his left arm will begin to fold. After shoulder high on the follow through, then he'll come up onto his back left heel, right? Off his back foot, right? And you can see there's his finish. Now, what I would say is with this finish here, if we put a vertical line, typically is what we use with the, like this, we put a vertical line to see where someone's at with their body position. And you'll see here, when he's coming down, right, look how much he stays back and clears where he's at. But then he kind of gets a little stuck on his right side here briefly. That's because his head fell back. So, but he chases it well, and you know, finishes here pretty strong. But I'd want to get him even a little bit more forward here with his balance on the way through. So that's my analysis of Dustin Johnson. Hope you guys are enjoying the LIV Golf tour out there. I've been enjoying it, and I thought it'd be fun to analyze one of the top players in the LIV Golf Tour. Make sure to subscribe.